Hi, Mr. Yang. So I'm a current student at Roosevelt High School just down the street. Um, Go Rough Riders. I was engaged in several walkouts last year, and many were even to the Capitol protesting gun violence within schools, which gained attention of not only the state legislature but also nationwide across the country. And I think that that is a very important issue. Something that I am struggling with is that I am currently 16 and cannot vote in 2020 because I am 25 days off the deadline. Now, you support having 16-year-olds vote, and I was wondering, because I count for 0 Californians, how can you make it, or how would you get the support from other Democrats, Republicans within Congress, or even other people fighting for the nomination to allow or to be in favor of 16-year-olds voting?
Thanks. It's a great question. I recently came out in favor of having the voting age go from 18 to 16. And there were a number of reasons. I actually got some controversy and pushback around that. But I'm convinced it's the right move, in part because imagine what it would do to our high schools, political culture. If the juniors and seniors in high school could actually vote, then it goes from being something that's somewhat not personal or relevant to all of a sudden it's like, who are you going to vote for? And the studies have shown that the earlier someone votes, the more likely they are to become a lifetime voter. So lowering the voting age would be transformative. Now, some of the pushback I've gotten was like, well, 16-year-olds don't know anything about politics. And what I responded to that is like, it's not like we're giving people a pop quiz when they show up at the ballot box. You know, there are probably people making votes right now that are not exactly reading Politico every day or something. I think Politico's in the room. Sorry, Politico. So to the question of how we can get people on board with that, a friend of mine actually proposed it in Congress and got about 100 supporters in Congress, which is not enough to pass it. But I'm convinced that if we keep pushing, that we can convince Americans that it's the right move. And to me, it's a moral issue because, frankly, you're going to be here longer than I will. And so if you're going to be here longer, you should have a say in what's going on in our country. And it shouldn't be that you feel like your voice doesn't count at the stage you're at. And to the issue you are passionate around gun control, I couldn't agree more. Where, to me as a parent, it's crazy to me that students are coming to schools and are actually concerned about being caught in a shooting and having drills to protect themselves. And so I'm for common sense gun legislation to try and make it harder for Americans to get access to deadly firearms. But I'm also for a massive mental health initiative, which is very much tied together. My brother is a clinical psychologist, and I know that there is so much more we can do. And so investing in mental health is one way that we can help address the violence. And one thing I've already committed to is I'm going to have a psychologist in the White House. I thought that was a good idea even before this administration. But we can destigmatize the mental health issues that, frankly, we all struggle with. And there is a mental health crisis in this country among young people in particular, really among all Americans, because if you look at the rates of anxiety and depression and the stress levels, we are more stressed out than just about any other advanced country at this point. It's one reason I'm so passionate about the fact that we need to humanize our economy as fast as possible and get you the right to vote, man.
All right, I believe we have time for one last question, so I'll pass it here.
Hey, I'm Nick. I actually came up from